Welcome back to another song title challenge where the question is, climbers, how should you write this one? You got a title. It could be a really killer title. Maybe it's a really mundane title. But what you want to be doing is a song title challenge. Try to cook up as many different conceptual angles as you can until you hit the note, till you hit the one that's like, oh, that's the way we have to go, right? Especially if you take a title that's almost cliche, and then it's like an ambush when you write it like a totally different way. And that's gonna get you some love, right? With an artist, that's gonna get you some love with the publishing relationship. That's gonna get you some love from others, peers, other songwriters, right? It's not a co-write in any way, shape, or form. You take all of what we use, take none of what we use. We demand an invite to the number one party. That's the only thing we ask for in return. And you send your titles in. I forgot to mention this at the beginning here. Send your titles into info@daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular. There is no S. info@daredevilproduction.com, and put song title challenge or STC in the subject line. That way it gets into the right folder. If you don't, it won't. I spring them live to Brent and our esteemed guest on the show. And this is what we do. For 20 minutes, we just cook this stuff up. And not only is this, listen, you want to have this work done before you walk into a writing room with one of your titles. If you're got the luxury and the benefit and the blessing of writing with an artist that day, and they might come in and say, I want to write this. Mm-hmm. And well, then you're going to want to song title it right there to make sure that you're getting a cool angle on that. You know, I think it's a good exercise right in the room if you have to have it that way. And then finally, Brent, I mean, you've been breathing new life into old song titles by just doing this your damn self, right?
That's right. It's not only the owner of the company, I'm a client as well. No, that's right. So yeah, I've been doing the song title challenge. We were doing it on the show first, and it was so much fun. And you'd find these titles that at first blush, you're like, if that were on my list, I'd blow right past it. But then, 10 minutes in, you find something. You're like, oh, that's exciting. But like, it's not my title, so I'm not going to write it. I need to do this for my own titles. So I started doing that. And that's most of what I bring into co-writes these days. It's a lot of fun.
There you go. All right. So do you want to do the honors to our guest?
Yes, I would love to. Today's guest is a songwriter and lead singer for The Sound, which is a Dove award-winning Southern gospel group. Since their debut album in 2019, The Sound has landed 6 number one singles and counting, and multiple Dove Award nominations. And I want to personally thank our guest for the amazing job The Sound did on a song I helped write called Can I Get a Witness, which was my first number one in Southern Gospel and led to my first Dove Award nomination for Southern Gospel Recorded Song of the Year. So that cut really introduced me to the Southern Gospel world. It opened up a new genre for me as a songwriter, and I'm very thankful. And actually, today we found out he stepped out of his co-write with my 2 co-writers on Can I Get a Witness, Kenna and Jason, to step out and do this. So please tell them I said hi and thank you. Levi Mills, welcome to The Climb.
Welcome.
It's good to be here.
Thank you for saying yes, Levi.
Yes.
You got it.
All right. So let's see here. I'm just thinking about you, Levi. I'm thinking about what would be good for Levi. And I had a couple ideas here.
Well, you're looking at that. I've been blessed to start writing with Levi in the past year or so, and he's a dang good writer.
I appreciate it.
Young dude, good writer. In every write, he pulls out some ideas that impress me. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yep, he's young, he's handsome, he's got all his hair. I hate him, bro. I hate him.
And he can sing. So,
all right. So here we go. This is from...
If it's from Randy Maynard, I'm going to crack up.
It's not from Randy Maynard.
Okay. Because Randy's sitting there. He knows Randy.
No, this is from Robert Walker is the person's name.
Robert Walker. Okay.
And the title is That River Boy.
That River Boy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That River Boy. So my hot take on this is, number one, I don't think I've ever heard that title before. So I kind of like that. Mm-hmm. And there's something with some potential gospeliness about it.
Well, baptisms, right?
I've had people say before, well, you're never really going to write something that's never been written before. You might say it a little different, but I don't know that you're going to write something that's never been. I don't think That River Boy has ever been written before. I think you might have found the one hook that I don't know if anybody's written before. So
now we got to find out if that was for a good reason or not.
Yeah, right. Sometimes there is a reason for that. No, I think
And this what makes it the challenge, Levi, is that, so many writers we've had on, hit writers like yourself, we'll have them on. And they're like, well, this is the part where I would say, let's go to lunch.
Right.
Or what else do you have?
Right.
But there's
What
a
else
chance,
do you
we're gonna
have?
write this stuff right here. We're going to write this. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, though. I like that there's a mystery to it. If I were going to see this, I'd have no idea what it's about.
Yeah.
Sadly, I don't have any idea what it's about, and I'm about to write it, kind of, right? But it has the imagery of the river and the boy, and I was just curious, like, ooh, what's that about?
What does it mean? Yeah.
Oh, well, the first thing I think of is Old Man River. Started off as that river boy. It's a prequel.
There you go.
No, I think of, well, with having Levi on, of course, automatically my mind goes to more of the kind of spiritual stuff. Is like that the boy that showed up at that river that day isn't the boy that walked out of that river. It was like a baptism song. River, old school river baptism. That river boy ain't the boy that came up, or something. That I don't know if that wording's quite right, but there's an idea in there.
You can put a comma in there, that river boy, and talking about that same thing, right? Like the river, like we're going to take you down to that river, boy.
Boy. That's right. We're going to drown you in that river, boy.
No.
Yeah. How about this? Okay, so which baby was it back in the day that was put in the basket that floated?
Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Moses, that river boy. Yeah. What his name means, out of the water, or from out of the water, or something.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what.
Yep. But yeah, that would be interesting. That tell a story about Moses, that river boy. Grew up quite a bit.
That's kind of funny.
You can make it funny. I mean, it could be like a really sort of tongue-in-cheek, lighthearted kind of thing, but still with this spiritual spin to it,
Mm-hmm. What if a totally different idea is female point of view song, or it could be male, but say female point of view song going, give me back that river boy, that guy that I met that day at the river who was just carefree and fun and not worried about all these burdens of life now that we have a family.
I was about to say, when I heard it, my brain went like a love song or something,
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my brain first went, weirdly enough. So then the challenge would be, okay, what made him the river boy,
Right.
Well, I like it. You could have met him at the river, right?
Yeah.
And it could be all of that imagery of the dust in the headlights and everybody's swimming in the river and there's a bonfire and it could go old country could go country.
We're way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. No,
That's right. Yeah. Something like that. Something along that feel of it,
Yeah. Give me back that river boy. I love the man, who's responsible, but every now and again, I just want that river boy.
Or where's the river boy?
The one that was like young and reckless and passionate and all this stuff. So it's a little bit of, if it's from the girl's point of view, like, I love you, I'm glad you're married, you're a great dad kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or good husband, responsible. But every once in a while, I just kind of want the guy. I want the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The mischievous, like where he stole the first kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't so predictable.
Yeah.
But you could also write it from the guy's point of view. Kind of the little bit of a midlife song going, and I want that river boy back. Like, I want who I was.
Yeah.
I've been down here looking for that river boy kind of thing. Kind of be a midlife crisis a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Ages it up for the singer, but still, it's a thought. We don't have to worry about that right now.
It'd be a quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
Quarter
life crisis.
That's a thing now. Yeah.
It could be that.
Yeah. What is that in gambling? The river? What is that?
That's the last card.
Okay. In what? I need to call it in.
Oh, in poker. In 5 card. So you get 2 cards, right? And then there's 5 cards. So there's the flop, there's the turn, and there's the river. Those are the last 3 cards that come in.
Okay.
And that river boy, so you could definitely have, okay, so I see where you're going with that. Like,
good, because I don't. I just know it's something gambling.
Yeah, no, that's genius, actually, because sometimes, look, you could be holding something, right? Like, let's say you're holding a couple 3s, right? And somebody else is holding a couple kings, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the flop, that's the first card that comes down. You get a 3. Now you got trip 3s, right? You're like, oh, I'm in, right?
Yeah.
And now you're bidding up because between the flop, the turn, and the river, you're bidding again, right? So you're in because you got tripped and you're bidding up. And then the second card, which is the turn, comes down and whatever, that's just a non-card, doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah.
But then when that river comes down, it's a king. Now he's got chipped kings and you're toast. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's so many metaphors on that. First of all, it could be straight up about gambling, right? That river boy did me in, right? Or that river boy, that's where it all happened. Because that was like where you're on a flyer where you're taking a huge risk and that's one thing that poker players can't stand about can't stand about amateur when they're just full of crap and they just get lucky on the river.
Yeah.
I got lucky on the river boy. You know what I mean? It could be so cool. Like, I'm just thinking like dobro kind of nasty sounding. It's just
River Boy's here again.
Yeah. Just totally getting lucky, just pulling something out of your ass, and relate that to meeting a girl or getting away from the law or, like a Dukes of Hazzard kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot that could go in there with the river. That's really interesting. Yeah.
That's funny.
What if, it's that branding kind of song for an artist, they're talking about who they are. I'm that river boy, one that grew up fishing, one that, muddy feet, come in smelling like catfish, at the end of the day kind of thing, and just sitting like, that's how I lived and that's how I was raised. Yeah. I'm that river boy, the one that blah, 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 and I'm always down at that river boy.
Yeah.
And then you could even do, and again, it ages up the singer. So you got to pick what's appropriate. But then he's looking at his boy, his son. He's like, yeah, there's that river boy. He's going to be one too. Yeah. So father-son's a little just country lifestyle.
Yeah, talking about somebody like going with that, like the dude who's out on the water, that kind of thing, kind of reminds me of a couple of country songs where it's like, yeah, I might do this and that and the other. I might be playing all these shows, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm still that river boy. I'd rather be out on the water. I'd rather be throwing a line in the river.
Yeah.
That's like, you know what that reminds me of right now? That reminds me of, we've told this story on the podcast before, but it's the one songwriter. There was only one that got over on the Colonel with a cut on an Elvis Presley record.
Oh, yeah?
And that was Jerry, Guitar Man.
Oh.
Jerry Lou.
Jerry what?
Who are you thinking?
Guitar Man. The Snowman.
That one?
Yeah. I'm brain farting on his last name right now.
You're not thinking about Jerry Lee, are you?
No.
Yeah, Amos Moses.
No, eastbound and down.
Jerry Reed.
Oh, Jerry Reed.
Thank you. Good Lord. Thank you. God, I should not forget that. So Jerry cuts Guitar Man, puts it out on the radio, and Elvis freaks on it, wants to cut the song, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's in RCA recording studios, and they've gone through like 5 of the top session players in town, and it just ain't sounding right on the guitar. And finally, the last one's like, well, Elvis, you're Elvis. It's what you want is Jerry Reed to play the guitar on that. Why don't you call Jerry? And so all of a sudden the bat signal goes up to get Jerry, and somebody who knew somebody who knew where to find Jerry, who was out on the frickin' river fishing.
That's funny.
Okay. And so he comes in from the river, still smelling like bait, doesn't bother changing because he's going to meet Elvis, doesn't give a flying F, right? Comes in. He's a little nervous because he hadn't played the guitar in a couple of days because he unplugged for a couple of days. So he's a little worried about that. But yeah, I think the story was it was the first take, but maybe it was really the second take or something like that. And he gets it. And then he's walking out of the studio and the Colonel stops him and he's like, hey, you got to sign this right here. He's like, what's that? Now, just imagine Jerry Reed, what's like that? He said, well, this is where you sign over everything to us. It's good. You have to give away 50% of everything to Elvis and to me. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, well, then your song won't get on the record. And he's like, he taps him on the chest. He's like, look in there. He points to the control room. He's like, is that your boy smiling there? Elvis just can't smack the smile off his face because he got the guitar jack. He's like, yeah, he goes, you tell him that. I'm going fishing.
That's funny. That's funny.
He just walks out, and that song goes on the record, and Jerry Reed gets all the publishing.
That's funny.
The Colonel didn't get a dime of that, dude. How about that? What if it's a song about Jerry Reed, man? And
I was about to say you could do an actual story thing about Jerry Reed playing the guitar for Elvis.
so cool, right?
That's awesome.
That could be timeless if you did that right, man.
That's very cool.
Do it like a Jerry Reed style tune, you know?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that Jerry Reed kind of guitar. Yeah. That River Boy song.
And then, okay, so how about, like River Life, right? Like Rolling on the River, like Proud Mary, right?
Mm-hmm.
The gambling, and right there, now you could use the river in multiple ways, right?
Right, multiple ways.
Because you hit the river, you lost on the river,
I mean, you never know what's
On the
coming.
river.
Yeah. Kind of like you never know what's coming around the bend.
Yeah.
Around that river, boy. You never know what's coming around that river, boy.
And there's so much imagery there, too. Like, I think of like Huck Finn and Mark Twain and that kind of stuff, too.
Mm-hmm.
It is so funny you just said that because I just thought about Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, all that stuff. Like, and then you say Huck Finn, I'm like, no way.
Well, that's great minds, buddy. Great minds, man. But what could you do with that,
I mean, that could be more of a folky thing. That could be a bluegrassy thing, if you're kind of retelling that story. Or you could use that as a setup. Like, they're these river boys, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, all this stuff, and me.
Ooh.
There's something about that river, boy.
Something about that river, boy. Yeah.
And, there's something about it. It's like country thing. I'm just another line, I'm just another in a long line of river boys kind of thing.
Oh, I like that.
Long line of river boys.
Yeah, it's one more.
A long line of river boys.
Yep.
How about, let's listen, most of the first major cities in this country were built on the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be that hometown thing too, right? And again, something about that river, boy, like it just created this town.
Yeah.
It created this vibe. And so many of those towns have completely different personalities, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, where I grew up, Batesville, Arkansas, it's the oldest existing town in Arkansas. It's on the White River. So we'd have the White River Water Carnival, where the river runs right there, right beside town, big river, that sort of thing. So it's definitely a big part of my growing up. Cross that river all the time. It's a big part of the landscape there and the carnival and all that stuff. So that'd be pretty cool. And I was thinking, too, of a line, you might as well try to drown that river, boy. Like, what is something that's impossible? Like trying to drown a river.
Yeah.
What is that? You might as well try to drown. You're standing out beside the river and something's happening. Like, you might as well try to drown that river, boy.
But you're never going to do it. Yeah.
Don't do it. You can't drown a river.
Yeah. Keeping with the comma boy there, you could, like, keeping with that theme, you could throw something in the river. You know what I mean? So throw it in the river, boy. Yeah.
Oh, how about the gun?
The gun.
In the river.
Yeah.
The engagement ring, the body.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you have like right now at the top of the charts, you have Stay in the Truck.
Yeah.
Which is really dark, right? From Hardy and
Laney
Wilson. Yeah. What about something down that, where it's like throw the gun in the river?
What if it is, and I'm thinking a little bit of, there's this excellent song by Chris Knight, a K-N-I-G-H-T, that I highly recommend everyone listen to. It's dark, but it's basically this like 6 or 7 minute story song about, me and my brother, we're out fishing, we went down the river and all this stuff. But a week before, here come these something boys, passing us, probably going to tend their pot, whatever. And a week before, my brother got in a fight with one of them, knocked through a pool hall door and whatever. And they went on down the river. Then we hear a shot down the river. My brother falls over the side and we never did find him. Well, then, nobody knew nothing, but Walter bragged around town. And one night I go down the river and he kills him. And then they go down the river and just all this stuff. It's just this murder story. It's awesome.
Oh, that's killer. I got to look
so good. It's so good.
What's that song called?
Like a little novella. It's Chris Knight, K-N-I-G-H.
Okay.
He was on Decca Records for a little bit. He's from Slaughters, Kentucky, and he sounds like it.
And he sounds like it.
He sounds like it. And so these songs, so many of them are just like little novellas, like little short stories, so literary. It's so cool. But even that, like if you're talking about some guy, that river boy, he always comes into town and he's causing trouble and he's that river boy. But
yeah.
And then eventually he ends up in that river boy. He bites off too much trouble, messes with the wrong people, and he ends up in the river. Country justice.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so hairband call out. Warrant had it's my absolute favorite Warrant song is called Uncle Tom's Cabin. And it was a hair metal band with a banjo in it.
Yeah.
Okay. So just think about that. It's called Uncle Tom's Cabin. Kind of the same thing. And it's a story about in the spirit of like fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? Or in the spirit of, was it The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia?
The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So, Uncle Tom's Cabin is like the sheriff and the deputy. They killed somebody, right? And they put him in the wishing well.
Yeah.
And, these two people saw it from inside Uncle Tom's cabin through the cracks where the moonlight shines. And, what are we going to do? And keep your mouth shut. That's what we're going to do, unless you want to wind up in the wishing well too.
Yeah.
And it could be something like that, like a dark thing. Or what if it's like part 2 of Garth Brooks' The River?
I ain't touching that one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, but I mean, what else could you say that points back to that song, right? That's just how life is a river, right? It's, I'll sail my vessel.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm that river boy. I'm the guy that stood out up in the audience at Mud Island Amphitheater before he was a bass pro at a Garth concert and just lost my mind when he was singing The River and just dying inside because I knew my dream was to be in Nashville writing songs. I was just dying, for that.
Yeah. What if the song's about Garth Brooks? He's the river boy.
That river boy.
There you go. There you go. I mean, hey, he mentioned Chris Ledoux. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he got some cool factor off of mentioning Chris Ledoux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And onto his brand, didn't he? And so that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Be a song about Garth.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, I think we got some good looks at that, boys.
I think so.
Yeah.
I love the variety of you could do with a title like this.
Yeah.
We went like a lot of different places on that. We went from murder to Jesus and Moses.
Yeah.
We went from murder to Jesus to gambling to Garth Brooks to Jerry Reed.
Yeah.
Sounds like a to-do list for a weekend. Let's do it.
That's fun, guys.
Well, Levi Mills, thank you so much again for saying yes.
Yeah.
And obviously say hi to your co-writers for Brent.
Yes.
But, say hi for me too, because Cox is cool, man. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that song. That is just one of my favorite songs, period, that I've ever heard. It needs to be cut again, I think.
Yes, sir. And tell Kenneth and Jason, and. If you use and, I want a fourth. There we go. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's
Okay.
suggestion for the song.
I'll let them know.
There you go. Word for a fourth.
Yeah.
Instead of a third.
Exactly. I'll take it.
All right, guys. So send your song titles into info@daredevilproduction.com. And maybe we're going to have, a 6-time #1 songwriter help to flesh out the ideas. And this is a fun one, man. This is good. I'm glad.
That was interesting.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, this podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.
See you guys.